Good evening and welcome to JamboFANTV. This week's edition is going to be focusing on the latest defeat, this time round at Partick Thistle on Saturday, but we'll also interject some details and some thoughts and observations on how we feel the Ross County game is going to go in a couple of nights' time. Now, before we start to talk about that, I just want to do some formal introductions. Now, coming from his dungeon, I'd just like to introduce Gordon. Say hello, Gordon.
Evening, Scott.
And from one of the other ugly houses, as they were proclaimed on Hibs.net earlier today, we've also got Scott on the other line. How are you doing, Scott?
I'm not so bad. It's English and it's ugly. It's terrible.
Yeah, I know. Aye. If anyone does have some spare time, have a little look at the thread that some Hibs fans decided to put up in our honour earlier today. So we've had a bit of a laugh and a bit of a moan about that. So yeah, on to the more serious sort of topics tonight, guys. Just wanted to focus on the Partick game just to begin with. Now, Scott, you were there. I just wanted to get your thoughts with regards to what impact the injuries had on the team, most notably, Aaron Hughes pulling up during the warm-up. Now, did that have a particular impact on the start of the game and the opening goal that we lost?
I'll put hand on heart. No, I don't think he does. I don't think he does because up to now we blamed the pitch, the wind direction, and now it's we've had a bit of an injury. The first goal was terrible defending. It was terrible defending, and it has to be put down to that. And it was just disorganisation of the highest quality. It was just unbelievable. So yeah, you can say they're professionals at the end of the day, and someone came in to do a job. But as a back four, they were terrible. And
Gordon, what was your view on the first goal? You actually had a different sort of viewpoint from Scott, being that you've watched it on BBC Alba. Was there any sort of hints of offside at all about the Chris Doolan strike?
Yeah, I thought it was offside when the ball got headed down. I think it was it Erskine or Barton or something, one of their giants, because they're a big physical side. Partick Thistle, someone we've been accused of being in the past, but you looked at some of their players, they were enormous. Yeah, I thought it was. I thought he'd maybe just a yard or so. So I actually had to run past him to put the challenge in. Yeah. It's real straw clutching because, just like last week, we were second best all over the place on Saturday. That was quite clear, even if we're just watching the highlights on Alba.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we'll try and not do too much sort of clutching of the straws with regards to it, because I think we've got to accept that a lot of this is down to our own failings just now, rather than anything, any sort of tidy luck going against us over the last couple of games. Going back to the team selection, Scott, were you surprised by the fact that we didn't allow certain experienced players like Perry Kitchen and Martin a chance to sort of address the fact that they were so poor against Hibs?
I took that as the gaffer trying to stamp his mark on it. He knew that people weren't happy. He was coming out to make a statement. The Kitchen part, yeah, you could answer he's not a bad player. As soon as he becomes captain, he struggles. But no, I was quite. I'll be upfront with you. I was quite happy with those players that were out there. Well, particularly for the first minute. I thought it wasn't a bad side. So yeah, no, it didn't disturb me in any way. I thought actually the gaffers, he's putting a statement out there, and good on him.
And with that statement being said, Gordon, do you think that there's a risk that the manager is maybe focusing too closely on what the fans are demanding or looking for from the team? There's a lot of chat about understanding fans' expectations before and after matches from Cathro. Do you think that he maybe needs to take a step back and sort of be his own man? There does seem to be an indication that possibly the omissions of Kitchen and Martin were maybe, a little bit of fan service, along with, making a statement about, well, these are two of the most experienced guys. If they can be dropped, anyone can.
Yeah, well, I actually think, like Scott, he's making his own statement there. He's dropping Martin and Kitchen was to me was well deserved. Actually, they were so poor against Hibs. They didn't deserve to be playing on Saturday. And a midfield four, Novak, which actually surprised me, I agreed with Mikey Stewart. Novak should have played centre half when Hughes pulled out. June, Teolis and Walker are more than capable of playing against other midfields in Scotland. And I don't know if you could improve it by putting Kitchener or Martin in there.
Sorry, Gordon. I mean, with regards to that midfield four that you've just mentioned there, Gordon, just sort of going back to Scott then, do you think again that a big problem for Saturday was the fact that we were just far too narrow?
I think so. I think I know this is just a preview on this and looking at the game coming up. I see a lot of our problems in midfield. I don't think the gaffer's got it right, and I don't know what that is. And I might be unpopular for saying it. I don't know whether he's used to working or coaching wherever he's been, of a higher standard of player. I don't know what it is, but or whether the players aren't understanding him. But what he's doing, midfield, they're not supplying good service to the lad up front, who's getting more and more frustrated. They're putting pressure on the defence. I said it last time. We were then putting pressure on the goalkeeper. It slips through so much through midfield, and there just isn't enough graft in there for me. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Like I said to you, I don't think players go out there to play badly. But at the end of the day, they're going to have to put a hell of a lot more work in if they want to get their confidence back. They need to put a lot of work in, and like I said, that's where I see our problem. Midfield, too easy to bypass.
Yeah, I think that probably is a big sticking point with regards to our current game. It's the fact that we play with such a narrow midfield, and I think that does have its advantages, but only being if we were to say go a goal in front. Now, again, straight out the gates, we've either had a poor start over the last 3 games, or we've lost the first goal, and in some cases both. Now, Gordon, going back to that point, and with Wednesday in mind, how do you see Ross County sort of fitting up for this game? Do you think it's fair to say that if Ross County had been studying Hearts, they would say, well, it's all about keeping the fans quiet, or at least adding to this potentially toxic atmosphere on Wednesday, even just keeping it 0-0, and if we can nick the first goal, it's going to be very difficult for them to get back involved. Do you think Hearts have anything in their arsenal to try and sort of counteract that just now, given Cathro's current tactics?
Yeah, well, I think he was going to have to play Nicholson on Wednesday night. Ross County absolutely frustrated us the last time they came to Tynecastle. In fact, it was probably the most boring game I've been at this season, including the Hibs game. It was an absolute shocker that from start to finish they wanted to start, and I think that's exactly what they'll do on Wednesday night. They want to keep us quiet. They want to get the natives restless without a shadow of a doubt, and get us on the team's back. So it'll be quite difficult. I think it's quite vital to get a fast start on Wednesday night and hopefully get in front within maybe 20 minutes to stop the fans getting really on their case on Wednesday night.
So, going back to Saturday then, Scott, we've touched on the fact that we think that Nicholson really needs to start that game. Now, would you potentially look at someone like, I don't even know, like maybe Reras, and maybe just seeing if you could maybe push him further up the park, and again try and stretch the game a little bit more and play with 2 wide men right for the kickoff?
I like the idea of playing with 2 wide men, but I think it only works if you're prepared to play with pace, and that goes back to the goalkeeper. Quick distribution, get it out there, stretch the play that way. In terms of with pace, have we got the personnel to do that? Maybe. Do we have to try something different? See, it's not often, Scott, that I'm at a loss for words. And as you're talking to me, I'm sort of going back to Saturday, and I was at that game a loss for words. I'd try anything. I'd try anything. I'm all for going back to basics, if I'm honest with you, and setting up. Gordon's just said I think Ross County will park the bus, and I'm all for us parking the bus a little bit, to tell you the truth. I know I've got to about midfield and what have you, but let's keep a clean sheet. That's where I'm sort of at with it. And if that means playing it wider and getting it up front and sort of defending from there. But again, it means midfield having to work a lot harder. Too easy coming through us. So yeah, I'll try anything. Like I said, I'm probably waffling a bit, but I'm sort of going back to Saturday. I was gobsmacked.
Well, I think that's a fair reaction. I think most people who were there, at least the ones that weren't venting their fury towards the end of the game, probably walked out there pretty speechless at the sort of weak nature of the result and the performance, rather than the fact that we're beaten. You know, we're Hearts. We're used to finishing third and fourth in the league, and we're used to losing games on occasion away to grounds like Partick Thistle as well. But I think off the back of such a disappointing performance in the Cup, Easter Road, that's what's probably made it, you know, a bit of a more sort of bitter sort of pill to swallow at this current moment in time. With regards, and just sort of sticking to Nicholson just now, Gordon, Sam was actually in the press today, you know, talking about the fact that there seems to be a lack of desire and fight amongst the players. And he was pointing on the fact that he felt that when he had to come on to replace Jamie Walker just prior to half-time on Saturday, that he needed to at least put a foot on and show that Partick weren't going to get the game their own way. Now, that led to a yellow card, and subsequently Goncalves was sent off further in the match for a sort of mixture of dissent and then a sort of a bookable offence after that. Would you say that Hearts were overly aggressive at any stage on Saturday, or would you suggest that there's actually a case where there's needing to actually up that part of our game?
I wouldn't say Hearts were I didn't say Hearts were aggressive at all on Saturday. I actually thought maybe the sending up was a wee bit unlucky. He dived in, definitely, but the intention, I think, was to block the cross. I'm not sure he made contact with the player, or proper contact with the player, if you like. Nicholson's booking, I suppose he did bring his foot down with a bit of force, but other than that, I can't really remember Hearts getting aggressive at all. Partick were, well, as I said, big and physical. They were niggly. I mean, it was one moment, one bit where they were sort of kicking the ball away rather than take free kicks, waste a few seconds, and that just to annoy us. And we seem to get easily annoyed, and it does put us off their stride. We're not dealing with the professionalism of other teams, if you like.
Yeah, that seems to be a part of our game that I think we've actually toiled with since we came up for the Championship. You know, I look at examples last season, particularly against Hamilton, where Hamilton seemed very capable of sort of spreading out the bookings and the fouls, making sure that our danger men were kept quiet, whether that's within the rules of the game or not. And I think sometimes we do seem to lack these street smarts. And, you know, we've got a lot of experienced guys now, especially with our sort of recruitment drive from January. But, Scott, would you say it's a fair assessment that although we're a team that are well known over the last few years for being quite a big and physical side, we're actually, in terms of the league, very soft-centred and actually a little bit powder puff?
Yeah, we're pussies. There's no other way of putting it. It's, for me, you know, you go and see a game and you lose games, and you look at it and you think, actually, they played better. And this happened and that happened, and you come away and you're disappointed because your team's lost, but you can sort of get your head around it. But when your team rolls over and hasn't got any fight, that's completely different. I go in and I expect graft, just like I go to work and I graft and I get my money. They're exactly the same, okay? And it really riles me when I see it. When I see, you know, when I see just players roll over. I want aggression, and I've said it in other reviews. I want players to get in there. I want players to put pressure on the ball. I want players to play with the same passion for the club as the fans do, who travel all over the place. And I'm not just blowing my own trumpet. What did I do? Sort of 400 miles in that day. It's got to be there. It's got to be there. And if it isn't there, the Gaffer and other people need to start instilling culture into them players, so they know what it is going out there. And it's okay saying, you know, walkers and people, the club and this, that, and the other. It needs to be throughout, and they need to know, that we're really sorry about the Hibs game, and we're really sorry, and we're going to put it right. Nobody's put it right yet. Somebody needs to put it right.
Okay, now what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and bring this back around to a more sort of positive sort of aspect of our game just now. That's going to be a little bit difficult, but I appreciate it's sort of the role of devil's advocate when you're hosting these types of sort of sessions or therapeutic sort of sessions amongst us. It's very cathartic, but yeah, I think we need to try and focus on what might be some potentially lighter or sort of positive moments now that might appear on Wednesday out of the Goncalves red card and some of the poor performances. Gordon, if I could touch on this with you briefly, what would you say would be the sort of benefits of maybe getting more game time for the likes of Curry and Dylan Beakey, who made his debut on Saturday?
I think Curry will probably be the main man actually on Wednesday already. I take it Johnston's still carrying his injury.
I think his hamstring's still a bit tight, yeah.
It's probably a tough gig. I mean, like I say, if we've not got a lead in 20 minutes, the fans are going to get on their case, and it's two young lads that are up there on Wednesday. Sorry, assuming they play 4-4-2, it would be I think it'd be a tough game for the two young lads actually on Wednesday.
Scott, would you agree that given that both are fairly inexperienced at this level, that really you have to kind of potentially start with them both in the same match just to make sure that they've got that sort of support of each other up there rather than playing one up top on their own?
Yeah, I think the support's needed. I think it's going to be a lonely existence for a striker up front on his own. The Curry thing, though, you know, he came on the other day against Tibbs, and he carried the game there, and he's got the potential to do that. And I think the fans will see, you know, if it's a younger player that's being blooded in the side and getting some experience, I'd like to think that the fans are going to go easier on them kind of players to understand actually they're learning the trade and they're doing it, you know, in the first team. I'd like to see more of it. You know, at the end of the day, and I know it's probably controversial, Hearts aren't in a relegation zone. You know, it's not the be all and end all. They're safe. Let's try and get some players in. Let's see who else is out there, you know, within the fringes of the team, and put those players in. And I'm not on about a mass, you know, 6 or 7, but just see how different players do and get sort of things set up for next season. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I think I'd agree. And in a weird way, I also think that if they started, we say Curry and BK up top on Wednesday, it could provoke a bit of a positive spark in the fans. You know, if they see two guys, young, fresh players up top, maybe chasing down possession, winning sort of possession in their half, getting us throw-ins, corner kicks, might just spark a little bit of a sort of more positive reaction out the stands. You know, we've all seen how following the youngsters at the club, even through adversity, can bring out the best in our supporters. If you think back to the relegation season in 2013-14, it was almost a case of we accepted that not all of them were ready. But in those games, we were quite happy to see them making mistakes because we accepted it was all part of the learning curve. So that could be hopefully quite an interesting sort of aspect of Wednesday's match. Now, sticking with the theme of Wednesday's game, Gordon, I'm going to come back to you first. What sort of formation and starting lineup do you think we should be going ahead with?
I think, as I've touched on earlier, we've got to try and get in behind Ross County, or they will frustrate us. For me, it'd be, I'm assuming Hughes is going to be fit. I'd probably go back to Struna, Hughes, Novak, and Reras actually, because Avlanitis and so I'm definitely not a fan of. Perhaps a midfield. I'm sure Zealous will play. Hopefully Walker will recover from his knock. And I'd maybe have Nicholson and Chowley out wide. And I'd probably have, we're talking about Beakey there, I'd probably have Jume and Curry up front actually. I'd probably push Arno Jume forward rather than play the two youngsters. So a wee bit more physical and sort of try and ruffle them up a wee bit up there.
Fair enough, decent balance there. I like the idea of maybe playing Nicholson and Chuley out there, out wide. I know Tynecastle's quite a tight park, but they're very much inverted wingers who do seem to like to cut inside more than hit the byline. So that could potentially work, especially if you had sort of Walker and Jim and Curry maybe floating about either side of them as well. Scott, what's your thoughts on Wednesday with regards to the team selection and the formation?
I never actually thought about that, Gordon. You know, in terms of a little bit of experience and a little bit of inexperience, and the two sort of working together. I'll be up, Scott. It's probably a very simplistic answer. I'm not bothered if they put 11, 15-year-olds out there, as long as they give it everything that they've got. That's all I'm asking for, because I think that's what's lacking at the moment. In terms of we haven't really touched on the goalkeeper, and I'm glad that we haven't. There's been a lot of call on Twitter for him to be changed and that, and he had a decent game on Saturday. He was one of the ones that sort of did okay, and I'm glad that, you know, he's kept his place and will keep his place for Wednesday, and hopefully his confidence will start to come up. But in terms of, I want to see a 4-4-2. I want us to go back to basics. I want us to keep it tight, and, you know, just sort of build it up at the back and bring it forward. And as the game goes on, hopefully fans are going to see that players are grafting. And like I said, I'm not bothered if it's 11, 15-year-olds out there, as long as they're giving it everything for the club.
Yeah, I have to admit, I don't think there's anything wrong with both those selections, to be perfectly honest. I'm kind of tending to go alongside what Gordon was saying with regards to maybe pushing Jim further up the park. For me, I would potentially have, you know, Jim, Kitchen in the centre of midfield, Walker just in front of them, and then you could have Nicholson and Chowley playing either side of maybe Curry playing through the middle. With Julius, great player as he is, I feel that in a game like Saturday, where we really need to have high tempo, not just when we've got the ball, but in pressing the game as well, I'm not quite sure that he's the type of individual that we need for Wednesday night in terms of getting the fans sort of, you know, off their feet for the first minute, sort of roaring the team on. So I'd be tempted to maybe get Kitchen back in the team and just see if playing him and June in the centre of that park can maybe bring about a bit of a change. But I do like the idea of the back four that Gordon mentioned. You know, Novak's done nothing wrong whenever he's played. Reris, as much as I'm not overly keen on a right-footed left back, for me is just a slightly better upgrade on Sowa, and a slightly less sort of erratic moments capable of him during matches. So that's kind of where I would probably go with regards to the team. Now, I know it's a little bit difficult to ask this, given how the last two games have went, but I'm afraid as a role as devil's advocate, I'm going to have to ask you guys to come up with a score as well for Wednesday, if that's okay. Gordon, I'll start with you, buddy.
I'll go for 2-0. I think Scott's probably right. We're going to... A clean sheet is very important. And like you said, Jack Hamilton's had a decent game on Saturday, so hopefully he'll have given himself a lift there. Had a superb save for Doolan just before half time, actually. And yeah, I'll go for 2-0. Not giving you scorers because I've had my winning bet this season. Yesterday I had Man United to win 3-2.
Oh, that was a good shout. What odds did you get for that?
22-1.
Oh, how much?
£5.
All right, fair dues. That's a good shout. Scott, what about you, buddy?
I'd take a 1-0. I'd be happy at a 1-0. Just get a win. All I'm asking for the players, the club, get a win. Get a win under your belt. Chase every ball down. The fans will support you. Get every ball, chase down, and get a goal. And that's all I'm asking for. So 1-0.
Well, I don't think that's too much to ask for, guys. I'm going to refrain from coming up with a score. That's just my prerogative, being host for the night. No, I won't lie. I'll put something on Twitter later on once I've had a good old think about it. But yeah, I just want to take the opportunity to thank you both for joining us tonight. Now, as we've said before, guys, there's very many ways that you can follow us. One of them is on the newly created Facebook page that Gordon put together for us last week. Just a case of typing in JamboFANTV, and I'm sure you'll find us on there. Make sure that you like and make sure that you share any of the comments that we place down on that page. Scott's also running the Twitter page for us. So again, it's a case of @JamboFANTV. You can add us, retweet anything that we've put down there. I'm sure Scott will be doing his weekly bet again this weekend, although it won't involve Hearts, unfortunately, due to the current unfortunate events of last week. And we've also got some threads kicking up on Kickback as well, and unfortunately on .net. So I won't ask anyone to comment on .net, but yeah, any sort of requests for any future content or any questions that we maybe haven't quite covered, then please leave a little note on the forum, and I'm sure we'll cover it at a future game. Thanks again for your time again this evening, and I hope to see a win for Hearts on Wednesday. Take care, guys.